Hey guys, it's Mike with the School to Self-Reliance. Today we're going to talk a little bit about backpacks. My basic thinking on backpacks is one bag isn't enough. It depends on the purpose that you're going to use the bag for. There are expedition grade backpacks, assault packs, and 3-day packs. And we're going to talk a little bit about the different choices in backpacks and what types of bags and the purpose that they're used for. So we're going to go ahead and dive right into that. All right, first up, we've got some small bags, or a small bag. This one is an assault pack. It's something that you take with you when you're day tripping around your property or you're out patrolling, so you can take a minimal amount of gear with you. As you can see, they're not super wide. They're not meant to be. These don't really make the best bug out bags or anything like that. If you were in a survival situation or a prepper situation where all hell had broken loose, this is the bag that if you were going to go out and patrol the property for the day, that you'd throw your kit in. Tiny little bit of food and some extra stuff that you might need. So smaller bags like that, they certainly have a purpose, and if you're going to use them day to day or anything like that, where you normally would carry a bag with you, this is the sort of day bag. And that's really all you should try to make it into, is just a day bag. This one is a Voodoo Tactical. Maxpedition makes one just like it. So does Condor. I personally think the Voodoo bag is a little bit better quality, better stitching, and so on. It's something to consider, but you shouldn't be overloading this pack. It should just have your basic bare minimum equipment in it that you're going to need for the purpose that you need it for that day. So it's not something that you're going to throw a bunch of kit in and it's going to be your do-all bag. That's not what it's meant for. It's just an assault pack. Just the stuff you need for the task at hand. All right, next up we've got another assault pack. This one is billed out as a 3-day bag. To me, this is not a 3-day bag. It doesn't work for that purpose. It's not quite big enough. I suppose you could probably get by with it for that purpose, but it definitely is an intermediate choice between this and another bag that's bigger. This one though, I take this one out hunting. That's usually what I use it for. It's got my minimal amount of hunting gear, and if I'm going to be out maybe overnight, that's the type of bag that I would use. You've got more than enough kit in it. This one is big enough that you could make it into a bug out bag, or you could make it into a possibles bag, something that you always have with you, maybe a car bag. And it would serve that purpose. It's large enough. But it's still not really a 3-day pack, even though the company bills it that way. This one again, this particular design, this one's a Voodoo bag. Condor does make one just like it. Although I do think this one is of better quality, and that's why I've chosen it. But it does have enough space and it can do the work for you. But remember, it's more of an assault pack, maybe an overnight kind of pack. Certainly a little bigger than this, but not really a 3-day bag. Next up, we've got this. It's a Matrix pack by Voodoo Tactical. I personally like the bag. Some people aren't all that hip on Voodoo products. I am. I tend to think they're better quality than Condor, but this one is, the Matrix is billed as a 3-day pack, and I think that it fits that bill. It's not an expedition grade pack, which we'll get into in a minute, but it is a 3-day bag. This is big enough for you to take everything that you would need for that 72-hour emergency, and then some. And it is the pack that you could take on a patrolling mission and so on, that you might be out for multiple days, not weeks, but multiple days. And it's big enough for that purpose. It's comfortable enough. Some of the stuff that you want to make sure of with your backpack is you want some kind of padding. You want straps that are not too thin. You want them to ride correctly and not cut into you. And you don't want stress points on the bag. This one has stuff sewn in multiple areas in the stress points where the load is carried, and that's what you're going to look for. This bag has kind of the same kind of deal, only the way they've sewed it, on the inside, it's hooked together so that it's not a vulnerable stress point. So it'll carry the weight that it's designed for. But if you tried to make this one into an expedition bag, And an expedition bag would be more like a large framed Alice pack. And I've actually got some examples of expedition bags that I'm going to bring up here in just a second. But if you tried to make it into an expedition bag, it really wouldn't work. One, you'd have stuff just strung off the sides of it, tied on everywhere. You'd have way more weight in this bag than what the bag itself is meant to support. And you want to be weight conscious. Remember that, ounces equal pounds, pounds equal pain. You've got to carry this thing. And nothing would be more miserable than to try to put an expedition load into a 3-day pack or into an assault pack. Then you would be in misery. Your bag's going to start to tear up. It's going to start to cut into you. It's going to be uncomfortable to carry. You're just not going to be able to do it. So there is a definite, decided difference in the bags. And here in just a second, I'm going to bring up some expedition bags and we'll talk about those. Next up, we've got a U.S. military Moleto rucksack. The Moleto is an excellent bag. This is truly an expedition bag. It's meant to carry a heavy load a very long distance. We've got a sleeping system compartment down here in the bottom already built in that your sleeping bag goes into. And it's adjustable for depth. And the zippers on this are super hardcore zippers. Very large teeth, very well made. One of the other things about this, and most expedition packs are not only large, which this one definitely is large. It's kind of cavernous. Looks a little bit like you're looking down into an open trash can. Very large bag, lots of room. But the other thing that makes an expedition grade bag is usually always a detachable frame. The military in its Mole 1 pack had an internal frame that was not removable, therefore it wasn't repairable, where this one is. And I've heard a lot of people talk about these particular frames, the plastic ones. This is a Gen 4 model. The Gen 3s were a little weaker. But I've heard some people complain online that, if you twist these frames up and stuff, they'll break and so on. Well, that's true. You can do the same with an Alice pack frame. If you twist it, it will break. This one will too at some point. But you're taking it way outside of its design parameters by twisting it up, and I don't care if you attach it to somebody's Chevy pickup and start pulling on it and it breaks, virtually anything would. Again, the straps, nice and wide, plenty of room there so that it's not going to cut into you. Well padded along the back, has a kidney belt. And a kidney belt is pretty important, especially when you're going to be carrying a really heavy load. In this bag here, a good 65, 70 pound load is just fine for this bag. It may not be fine for you, but it's fine for the bag. And it has plenty of space. 3 rows of PALS webbing here, 2 rows here. And it's got exterior pockets like this one here. And you can put sustainment pouches on this, all kinds of stuff on the mole gear or PALS webbing. And you can get everything kind of compartmentalized. Sleeping system, the rest of your main gear, survival, maybe medical over here. You can attach sustainment pouches to it that will hold your food. And then you've got a big cavernous space left over for the rest of your gear. Personally, I think a lot of these bags, the Moleto system, They're a couple of $100, actually more like about $250 or $300 in multicam. You can get them in woodland camouflage for about $75 to $100, maybe $125. For that kind of money, a nicer backpack would be very, very hard to find, especially an expedition grade backpack. But let's go ahead and we'll talk about another expedition bag. This is another expedition grade bag. This one is a School of Self-Reliance backpack that I had built for me by my good friend Garrett Grover at Honor Bound Battle Gear out in Oklahoma. Garrett over-engineers everything. There's not double rows of stitching on this bag. There's triple and even 4 rows or 5 rows of stitching, and usually 3 or 4 or 5 rows in any stress point. But this is a gigantic bag. We've got a small map case here on the flap. Got a very, very, very large main compartment. I'll try to get you down into that just a little bit. It's just cavernous. It's got plenty of rows of webbing along the side. It's got a little bit of Alice attachments right here, so if you want to hook a machete on there and then run it through here, you can. It's got smaller compartments, about big enough to put poncho or that type of stuff. One in each area here in the back, one here and one here, and then it's got another zipper compartment here. It does have PALS webbing so that you can attach other pouches or things that you need. Has a carry handle, detachable frame, again very well padded, larger straps, aren't going to cut into you. Nice padded kidney belt, very well padded back here by the frame, and just a well-made bag all the way around. Now, this particular bag is only available from us. You can call Honor Bound Battle Gear or look them up online and they'll direct you back to me. I'm not particularly trying to push this product right now to you. What I'm trying to get across is the difference between the bags. This one is truly an expedition bag. You know, this is something that if you're going out for 30 days or longer, okay, this is your bag. This is your I'm never coming home, or your winter bag. Because the supplies you need for summer and the supplies you need for winter are two very different things. They tend to take up more weight, or at least more space. Sleeping bags don't weigh very much, but they are bulky. So having extra room for a little bit of food, for your sleeping bag, for other stuff that you need, change of clothes, spare socks, maybe a pair of boots, you know, an expedition bag is what those are meant for. And expedition bags are something that you're going to go out, like I said, for 30 days or so at a time, or a couple of weeks. But they're just exactly what they sound like, expedition. And I can't tell you how many times I have seen people come out with a bag that is just too small. And they've got stuff tied on it, strapped to it. There's 30 pounds of kit hanging off the exterior of the bag. The answer to that is pretty simple. Just go get another bag, something that's bigger. So having an assault pack and a 3-day pack and an expedition grade bag is something that I would recommend. Those 3 bags, you know, assault, 3-day, and expedition, should pretty much cover any needs that you have no matter what you're doing. I would always recommend for winter, especially extreme winter, an expedition grade bag that's packed and ready to go. You know, this one also has a lot of space inside of it for hydration to be carried. This one can actually carry up to 3 bladders inside of it. I'd rather carry water weight on my back than carry water weight on my belt, even though I do carry a canteen. But what we're going to do now is I'm going to stuff some of these up with a little bit, blow them up so you can see their size, and that'll be about the end of the video. But remember, there are differences in the bags. They serve different purposes. Assault, 3-day, and expedition grade. And sometimes you just can't beat having the right tool for the right job. So, again, I'm Mike with School of Self-Reliance. Thanks for watching.